Hey everybody, this is Sam and I'm back here at South by Southwest. Once again, representing the Stellar Global community. We are here to work with entrepreneurs, people that are looking to build businesses and creative ideas on top of Stellar, and really just covering this entire 48-hour hackathon. And I've got Ben Grossman, who is the senior, what now? What's your position over at Stellar?
So I lead our enterprise marketing at Stellar Development Foundation. So what falls within that scope is working with the companies, enterprises, businesses that are building on Stellar and evangelizing the Stellar use cases, the solutions that the Stellar network offers. And we use events such as South by Southwest as a vehicle for us to get the word out, evangelize the network, bring partners together, and highlight the many things that are going on within the very fast-moving world of blockchain and Stellar. And so that's why we're here today.
Well, I mean, this is a big deal because this is the first time that Stellar's, correct me if I'm wrong, ever been a part of a big event like South by Southwest. Is it the first time here?
It's Stellar's first time at South by Southwest, and we are here sponsoring the Finance 3.0 Summit. Which
is great. I mean, I looked through some of the speakers. It's got a wide range. I mean, I see names like PepsiCo. I see names like Estee Lauder. It really is a big deal. What would you say are kind of what you guys hope to get out of being involved here?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think in the spirit of Web3, the theme for this summit is Finance 3.0. And so as we see the bridge between traditional finance and companies such from Pepsi to others figuring out the potential use cases of what a future of finance looks like on blockchain and in Web3, we also are excited to see the companies that are crypto endemic here as well, and many of the well-known names within that space. Pomp is speaking. We have other people from Kraken who are participating in the summit. And for Stellar specifically, we are the main sponsor of the event. We have a fantastic lounge that we've set up for attendees to come meet the Stellar Development Foundation team, learn about the network, and really position ourselves as a pinnacle player within the realm of Finance 3.0 and Web3.
So let me ask you, what are some of the ways that the ecosystem marketing team have been involved? I mean, beyond even just what we're seeing here, that's made an impact.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into ecosystem and growing ecosystems. It's a very hot topic and something we care very deeply about. So in terms of how we support companies in the Stellar ecosystem, there's a number of levers, tools, and ways we do so. And so one is we are kind of the central evangelists for companies building on the network. So whether you are an exchange that's adopting Stellar's version of USDC, you are integrating Stellar for your remittance or cross-border use case, we do our kind of duty to evangelize your company, your integrations, the use case, and then we have all the different tools and levers to help drive the adoption and growth of the businesses once they build on Stellar. And one of those ways is we have a number of grant and funding programs that we use to invest in the growth of these companies specifically. And that's a major way of that which I myself participate in.
Really. Now, talking about grants, you kind of teed it up there. There is a large $6 billion in Lumens marketing grant that was just recently announced to help support, like you're saying, businesses. Tell us a little bit about this grant.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting milestone for us. So as part of the mandate of Stellar Development Foundation, and our mandate lays out how we use the Lumens as part of the foundation to invest in and grow the network and the companies, how we steward the foundation itself. Part of that is this marketing grant fund. And so, as you mentioned, it's very large. It's 6 billion lumens. It's over $1 billion.
That's a lot of lumens.
It's a lot of lumens, right? So we use these funds to invest in specifically the marketing, the user acquisition, the growth, the go-to-market for companies that have built or are building projects on Stellar. And so some examples would be, an exchange will launch, Stellar USDC, which is a growing, ever more common kind of thing we're seeing, and that's also really good momentum. Or you have built a either P2C stellar use case from like remittances is one example, or you have a B2B product. We are there to work with your specific team and find use cases where we can help fund your investments to really fuel the growth of your stellar specific product. So if you have remittances, we will help you figure out how to grow that stellar network of that stellar rails. So if you're sending, for example, there's companies that have built stellar rails from sending money in Europe to Africa or Philippines. And we help drive the user acquisition, which is the total volume being sent over the stellar network. And so what we're really focusing on is growing not just the stellar use cases and elevating the business, but there's a downstream impact as these businesses and their stellar use cases grow, it ultimately leads to more downstream network activity on the stellar network.
Wow. I mean, I'm really excited about it. How is the process run? So if you're a company listening out there, as I said, Stellar Global that's our aim. Our aim is to really connect with those that are entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur myself for 17 years, and so I know how difficult it is to get the funds and support that you need.
Yep.
If they're listening out there right now, they want to get involved, they want to get connected, how do they go about applying for the grant?
We have a webpage on stellar.org's website.
All right.
I believe it's marketing-grants. And there is an application page which lays out the whole application process. And what we ask for in the application is for you as a company to provide us details on what is your specific stellar use case. Why does it matter? How does it tie to the SDF overall mission of financial inclusion, better interoperability? And we ask you specifically some questions about, what does your marketing structure look like? Do you have teams and resources to execute on marketing campaigns? Do you need help acquiring those resources from agencies to marketing agencies to, kind of contractors that could help you kind of fuel this specific plan? And we really specifically look for a go-to-market plan that you have. And we, as part of that, is telling us what is your marketing budget. And we work with you to figure out, what are your actual goals? How do those tie into SDF's goals? And we find a middle ground, or we find a way where we both feel really good about a specific marketing budget to a great stellar-oriented use case. And that's kind of how the funding overall process works. And so we ask companies, whether you're small or big, you can go on our grants webpage and you can submit an application. And that's where the process gets kicked off.
One thing that comes up often, too, is I know that there's a wide range of businesses that are out there that are utilizing Stellar, but I want to key on something that you said, is that you're focusing on businesses that align with the overall mission. Could you maybe give a couple of examples of areas that fall outside of that, things that, that are kind of like red flags for those, just in case there's someone that's listening that kind of teeters in there, help some guidance in there so we can get a picture of that.
Yeah, so, and we're pretty explicit with this on the Marketing Grants webpage. So we have areas that are covered and then areas that we're not able to cover with grants. So the areas that we're not able to cover would be anything around incentivizing investments or return towards any kind of retail use case. So we steer away from those for a number of reasons. We're not able to support those types of use cases. We don't prevent you from doing that on your own, but we as the foundation are not able to support. So we really look for use cases where there's a clear tie to the Stellar Development Foundation mission. And so if you have built an application, a use case that uses the network, for example, the classic example that I can think of where we support right now is around cross-border remittance payments.
Okay.
And if that's a use case and you've built on Stellar Rails or you're building on it and you want to fuel that growth, this is where the grant is a perfect opportunity for SDF to come in and support you.
No, that's good. Before I'll let you go, one thing that I want to tie into, and it's great as we have these opportunities to bring members of the SDF to the community, is your background. I mean, you have worked in marketing and in retail. I want to say Amazon at one point as well. How does that kind of compare to what you're experiencing here in crypto, and how has it helped you in many ways?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So yeah, my background previously was I was at Amazon for a number of years. Was working on the Alexa and voice services side.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And previous before that, I was doing e-commerce, mostly on Amazon, but a number of other kind of e-commerce platforms as well. And so, in terms of the bridge from Amazon or the AWS side to the crypto front, is there's a very strong kind of technical focus. There's a kind of core developer audience. And when you think about, at least my perspective, whether it's Alexa or it's Amazon Marketplace, they are marketplaces and they're open kind of the platforms for external companies to build and invest in. And we can think of Stellar in a similar way, except Stellar is of course open source. It's not,
which is a positive.
which is a positive. It's not a gated marketplace, that Amazon is. But the mental model of developers building like applications, on AWS or Alexa, or third-party companies like using the service as a platform to build a business, I think is something that is the mental model that I try to bring to Stellar Development Foundation as we attract companies all sizes, from small startups to large enterprises, across every different vertical, to think about, how do they approach Stellar, both from a business use case, but also from a kind of technical core question.
Ben, you've been here about almost a year now, right?
Almost a year.
Almost a year. What do you enjoy the most so far working at the SDF?
It's absolutely the breadth of companies and projects I get to work with. So every day I get to talk with companies all around the world doing all different things. So companies based in Kenya or in Europe to everywhere, which is really cool. And they're doing so many different things, from exchanges, crypto native kind of projects and areas, exchanges, wallets, to companies that are in traditional finance, like remittances or cross-border payments, to just startup projects that are building really cool, like retail use case apps or services that are built on Stellar. And so every day is a new person, it's a new challenge, it's a new area to explore, and I can't ask for a new time zone too. This is actually one of the best parts.
No, but you know what? On the time zone side, that has been the most interesting thing for me, because as you mentioned all these different countries. You have to get used to the time zones. Today, I'm in Austin. I usually do Twitter Spaces on Eastern time, and I was completely thrown off. So yes, time zones is something definitely get used to.
And it's another thing when you think about like marketing. There's a lot of many of the blockchain and crypto companies are based in the U.S., and so there's a very kind of U.S.-centric mindset. You'd think so,
right?
But in terms of the marketing that we often do, it's a lot of it is actually localized. And so when we're working with companies in Europe, like a lot of the marketing efforts and initiatives they're doing are happening in the European market, or in Kenya or Tanzania. Like that's where the marketing is really happening at the local level. As we're helping them grow the adoption of their use cases, they're targeting their customers locally that actually build on their services. And so that's a really interesting nuance as part of kind of the marketing support we do for ecosystem and the grants we give, is this understanding that this is a global scope.
I'm glad you brought that up, because oftentimes, people in the community are like, oh, we don't see such and such going on. And it's like, yeah, because you don't live there, or it's not targeted to you, so of course you won't see it. So I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I've always wondered. I know that's the answer to the question. So
yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, what we're really doing is we're helping the companies that are built on Stellar amplify their use cases to the customers they are targeting. And so it's an interesting kind of piece of context and nuance that doesn't always get captured from the very kind of spotlight heavy crypto news that we all follow.
Right. Now it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right now, South by Southwest, it's tons of people outside walking around. The city's been alive at the 48-hour hackathon. Really great to have you guys put this together.
Of course.
Before I let you go, one more thing is, what are you looking forward the most with this hackathon? As far as the artist side, I mean, have you had a chance to look at any of the artwork yet?
I'm excited. Like NFTs are the hot topic everywhere, and it's really exciting to kind of see the momentum that we're seeing both from developer interest and I think NFTs on Stellar, they're not necessarily new. Lightmint is a fantastic example. And a great example of like an organic company that came through like the Stellar Community Fund.
That's right.
And has grown pretty substantially. And I think it's exciting to see these kind of new use cases come up and the affiliated kind of companies that are and businesses that are starting to be built. So it's really cool to see new use cases like every day.
It is. And we have this dev challenge that's going on, getting started, where they're actually creating a lot more use cases and creative outputs. So I can't wait to find out what the next business is going to be. So
exciting stuff.
Ben, I want to thank you so much for joining. Continue to follow everybody. We're going to be doing these interviews the entire weekend. More SDF, more community members. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.